So if you have questions online, please leave it in chat and we can check it there. So,
It's Bennett, Arizona State. This is for Carolyn. You mentioned that P60 would be a real good sample area to fill the gap. I always felt uncomfortable about P60 being so close to Aristarchus is highly modified by secondaries and ejecta. So why not just pick P59, which is on the other side of the plateau? There's no nasty big crater messing things up, and it's essentially the same. So
because at P60 you get Aristarchus material. So
I thought you wanted to date the Mare, not the
both of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, Aristarchus is much younger than the P60 basalt. So, you know, there's a paper in PSJ, Draper et al. That we specifically looked at targeting different sites for that. And of course, picked locations that were in between those rays, but with the idea that you would get a grab sample that contained both Aristarchus and the basalt. No, compositionally, you know, it should be a mix. You know, the regolith is a good mix of material.
so I guess it will be situation like Apollo 12. Where it will be situation like Apollo 12 landing site where you have a Mare and the ejector material.
Yes, but you're really close to a really fresh and really big crater. P60 is really hugging Aristarchus, and essentially it's defined based on the interplay of Aristarchus spectra with the Mare. That's how P60 was outlined by Havisinger. So yeah, for sure. I know that like you date any Breckshine, you get 100 different ages that you can differentiate. It's no problem. But yeah, is P60 really a Mare unit? It's just the expression of ejecta and secondaries overlaying the Mare. But I think we're getting carried away here.
Read the paper for details.
Jackie Clark, Arizona State University. This is also a question for you, Carolyn, not about P60 though. So the standard for crater counters is to use the Neucom 2001 chronology function. So now we have the U et al. 2022 chronology function that's also in crater stats. What is your recommendation between the two chronology functions?
Okay, this will, I'll get into some more details in the paper that will be coming out. It's basically done, needs to be submitted. That work compares that are calculated using different chronology functions. And that's like putting apples and oranges into a new function. Okay, so what we've carefully done for this paper is to go back and make sure that the entire data set that's going to get fed into fitting a new chronology is all apples.
Patrick Pinet from Toulouse Observatory. I have a question for you, Deepak. Thank you for your talk. And at some point you mentioned that you were thinking of something like a topographic threshold. And I would like you to elaborate a bit more on this notion. What is the rationale or the line of reasoning behind this between the topographic threshold and the melt pond distribution?
Yeah. So basically, if the melt is deposited in an area, you can think of it coming in, for example, either it can vertically just be deposited or it can deposit at an angle. So when it is depositing at an angle, and in case of people who have reported it coming from all the way from Tycho, any kind of topographic barrier can actually not allow the melt to pass beyond a certain point. So we have been looking at the melt point distribution to see if any topographic barrier, especially for melt that was deposited at low angle, can be identified. So that is
It's basically an obstacle on the trajectory that
yeah,
you're talking about.
and I am not talking about a huge obstacle, but over when this emplacement is taking place, any small standing topography, but over a large area can give us a trend and help us identify from where the melt was being transported.
Thank you.
I have two questions, one for Vajia and one for Deepak. Vajia, the cone crater work that you were showing, I mean, within error, everything is within 50 million years. I mean, the most recent 50 million years. I mean, it's really very, very recent, right? So you said at one point, absolute model age. I mean, has that material, like, I don't know, has that material been actually dated by organ or something? Was it found like a ray material into Apollo collection? Or I just wanted to clarify what you meant there by 50 million years.
Okay, so it's the 50 million year is kind of the lowest exposure age that's identified. So that it ranges from 15 to 90 million year.
But measured in the lab here.
Yeah, they have a different measurement from different scientists, and they are organ as well.
They are organ
Yeah.
just from the Apollo material. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
Cone stuff was all exposure age.
yes, but
Yeah.
we have a
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, so there are different samples and they are identified in the different samples. That's why we are showing in the range. Yeah,
Okay. Is there any kind of similar evidence? I mean, the 50 million years is so recent. Do we have any comparable record or evidence here in terrestrial record that matches up with that impact event? Or is that too small?
so we don't know it. It could be coming from a small impact crater nearby, which could be so young, or it's a. So we don't know where it comes from, but the sample is collected from the station that is lying on a ejecta of the cone craters. That's why it's considered.
Oh, no, I was trying to relate it to some event here on Earth that we could relate to because it's in such a recent time, if that's possible.
I don't know, maybe Christian has an idea of some impact craters on the Earth that are about 50 million. Well, I mean, 26 million is.
It's even better.
here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So-
Anyway, something that we can probably, scratch our heads about in the social. But for Deepak, my question was, Deepak, did I get it right that you were mainly looking at the far side of the moon with those? I mean, is that something you just picked as a case study, or is it something very unique to the far side?
Yeah, so the deposit that I was talking about is very unique because to our knowledge, and we did not find it. Mark Robinson and his team reported it in 2016. So far, it has been very unique in the context of the morphologic freshness of these deposits and their wide spatial extent, not really connecting to any crater nearby. So that's the very weird part that we wanted to explore. And also that is pretty fundamental, as I mentioned, that impact crater and impact melt not related or not in proximity is something we don't hear very often. So it has fundamental implications to our understanding.
And my final piece of curiosity, I mean, is there any indication from a remote sensing sort of geochemical data set that tells you that all those deposits are part of the same impact melt? Is there any feature like that?
Yeah, so it's a little tricky question in the sense that from mineralogy, it has been very hard to figure out the mineralogical setup, but from many other compositional information, yes, these are all related. But they are complex. But the age is also kind of based on very small number of
It's
statistics.
small,
So,
yeah, but it's very young.
yeah, it is very,
Very-
that's what I'm saying, that the young age and the morphology actually ties up pretty much together. If you look at the morphology, it is so subtle, it will just disappear, in a few million years. And it is preserved, so we are trying to, use it to our advantage to establish these linkages.
So I think we have to move forward now, and now I can hand this session to Thomas Harper and Anna.